Hello, 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 how are you? This is Els coming to you from Raymond's Crafty Corner, and today we have this little project. So this is kind of my take on, the W journal. So for ours, there's going to be a journal on the inside, and then you have two flips, one on the front and one on the back, where you can add stuff into this, okay? We've got a 1/2-inch spine here, so nice room for a good writing journal. And this would be great for like a botanical or a traveler, travel journal, that kind of thing. 2 file folders on this one. So I'm going to get everything out, get you a supply list, and then we'll get started. This one's really a lot simpler than it looks. I'll be right back. All right, so some supplies. Supplies we're going to need are 2 file folders. Doesn't matter if they are the long ones, the legal size, or if they're standard, doesn't matter where your tabs are, just 2 file folders. A paper trimmer and a scoreboard, scoring tools, liquid adhesive, and some tape. You can use tape on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and clear everything off the desk so that we can get just our cut downs done. And then once we have that done, we'll do some scoring, a little bit of inking, and we'll put this together. I'll be right back. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 file folders down to 9 by 6. So 9 on the length on both of those. And then 6 on the width. Now, obviously, I'm cutting this for 8.5 by 11. So these are our 2 base pieces, all right? Then from our scraps, we are going to cut a piece that is 2.5 inches wide. And we can take this stuff off. If you can get that off yours, just pull that off. It's going to just add bulk, and we don't need that. Okay? 2.5 inches. And then we want one piece that is 1/2 inch. So let's see. So this is 2 3/4. And we want to take it to 2 1/4. That's going to give our 1/2 inch. All right, so those are our pieces. We only need 4 pieces for this. I'm going to get rid of the scrap and the trash, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're only going to do 2 score lines here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use one of our cover pieces, and we're just going to stand that up. Now, if you have a shim, if you've made a shim, your plastic shim, go ahead and use it. If not, just use your file folder, and then you're just going to press this right there and score it at 1 inch, and you'll see that gives you a little bit of space there. That space is important, okay? 1 inch. Then we're going to flip this around, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're just going to put in our piece of paper, set that in. Make sure that we have a little bit of a space between the edge and our piece. And then we're going to score that at 1 inch again. Now what we've done is we've made this just slightly larger than 1/2 inch. Okay? That is it for scoring. Let me get my scoreboard out of the way. And then we're going to fold these. Remember, hills into valleys, valleys into hills. Okay? Now, inside, in here, that's where we're going to glue this. All right? Now, do not use tape on this part because you're going to have to stitch through this. And if you stitch through it and you use tape, you're going to get a sticky needle. And you may not get your thread as tight as you want. so use glue. Okay? And this piece fits right inside, in the center. It is just the length we want it to be. And if it's a little over, just trim it off. Now, I do recommend at least one, but you could put two if you wanted to, just to make that 3 times as thick. It is entirely up to you. Okay? And then we are going to be doing some bigger gluing. So I'm going to get out a bigger glue bottle. Come on, go in the hole. There we go. So this is just PVA glue. You guys have seen me use it many times on book covers. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and we want the fold, the hill, to be facing up. Okay? So we want it kind of arched like a tent on our work area. Get this open. There we go. And I'm just going to put glue on my flap. Okay? Now, this is the part where you can use tape. If you want to put a piece of tape on here so you have instant hold, you can do that. And we're just going to make sure that we line this up top and bottom, just outside the score line. We want to leave that space between here and here. That's the score line, okay? So we're going to get that on there nice and straight. And then we're going to do the other side. Same thing. We're going to make it a tent, and that's the part we're going to glue down, okay? So this side I'm going to do with the tape so that you can see that. So what I'm going to do is use the tape, and I'm going to put my tape right along my edge, right here. Go ahead and cut that. Then I'm going to add my glue back here. And then we're going to go ahead and pull up part of our tape. Take our tent, line it up, top and bottom, and then pull out our tape and press that down. Okay? So now we have a piece that looks just like that. At this point, if you're going to ink, you should go and do that. And then when we get back, I'll give you some mat sizes, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, so now we are going to cut some mats because, you know, we want this covered, right? We want it to look nice. So I've got this pad out. This is from Michael's, from Recollections. And I'm going to be looking for, you know, cover inside, outside, all that kind of stuff. Now this is cardstock. It's not paper, so if you want to use paper, of course, use that. I'm going to take this one, I think. That messed with me. And this one. That's going to be our front cover, and outside, front and back. And then I think we'll do this on the inside, and maybe one more at least. Maybe one of these. Okay, so we have 4 pieces of paper. Here's what we're going to do, though. We're going to cut our paper 8 pieces, 5 3/4 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches tall. So what I recommend is that you cut these down the center. All right, a little bit tricky here if I want to get like that whole piece. Easier if I want to use this piece. This is okay because it's far off to the right, and this one doesn't really matter. So I'm going to get out my paper trimmer, and we're going to be cutting 8 pieces. We have a front cover, 2 insides. Our book, front cover, and 2 insides. So 8 total pieces here. I'm going to get out my trimmer, and I will be right back. All right, so these first cuts are the easiest because I don't have to compete with designs on the paper, you know, like sayings and things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these down to, our overall project is 9 inches, so we're going to go 8 3/4. Look at that. Pretty, right? Extra. All right, and then we're going to cut these at 5 3/4. This one, which should be 6 1/4. We're going to cut it to 5 3/4. Hold on. It's a little crooked. There we go. Oh yeah, it was a little bit crooked. All right, so that's 4 of our pieces, and we need a total of 8. So now we're going to kind of mess with these. I need to get 2 pieces out of this. So I'm going to put this in 12 inches, take off the top, and then I'm going to cut this at my 5 3/4, because this is going to be okay. 5 3/4. Now you'll see it took off that H. That's okay. We're going to turn it, and we'll go to 8 3/4. Goodbye to the H. That's a cover. Now you may need more paper depending upon, you know, where your design sits. So let's do 5 3/4. And then let's see if we can take that off that way. If we go 8 3/4, we can. And we just have this really cool design at the bottom. So that's 2. Keep those. And then we're going to do the next one. Again, we're going to cut it down to 12 because we don't know exactly where it's going to fall. So then I'm going to turn this. We're going to cut this one at 5 3/4. And then decide, do I want the top or the bottom? I want the top. 8 3/4. Right there. That is another one. We're at 7. Now we need 8. Do we want this? Or do we want that? Well, let's see where it falls. If I go to 8 3/4, we're going to get most of that. We don't want to do that. So let's take this. Let's cut this to our 5 3/4. There. Oof. And then we're going to use this part. 8 3/4. 2 stinking cute pockets. Okay, so we have 4 and 4. That's 8. Those are all of our mats to cover. The only thing we're missing is the one piece for the spine, which needs to be 8 3/4. 8 3/4. Right there. Okay. So you have that. And then it needs to be 3/8 of an inch. That's kind of an odd measurement, but you don't want it to be too big. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at this and see if it's at 3/8 of an inch. Let me get a bigger cut here so I can see. So that's my inch. It's a 1/2 inch, so I need to take 1/8 of an inch off. Right there. It's very difficult to do on most of our cutters. So just kind of guesstimate, you know? You just want to take a little piece off of a 1/2 inch. All right, that's all the cutting. When I come back, we'll put this all together. If you're going to ink, ink now. So let's put this thing together. We're going to start with our little strip. It was interesting. And our little strip goes on our spine. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that on there first. Doop. It's out. Put that on there. Just like that. All right. Then these are actually our covers. This is our front cover. That's our back cover. So we have to kind of decide, you know, what we want on which one. I'm going to put this on the back. Now, glue, of course, is always the preferred method when you're doing this. And the reason for that is you know, if you're giving this to somebody who lives in a warmer climate, or maybe you live in a warm climate, or, you know, global warming, glue is going to dry and it's going to stay. Tape, not so much. So put your glue on, and then go ahead and put your cover on. These are 1/8 of an inch borders. So if you line up two sides, it's going to be perfect. Okay? So I'm going to put this one on here. And I just like this little glue applicator, you know. I know it's a kid's glue applicator, but it works perfectly, and it lets me smear the glue around. Now, do make sure that you're putting these on the correct side, that your book is going to open correctly. Okay? Got those? Flip it over. That's my front cover. So when I open my book, this is what I'm going to see. Now, I have to decide, what do I want on the inside? Do I want these on the inside? I think I do. So again, I'm just going to put some glue on the back and put them in. Now, be careful when you're using paper like this. There's very small script on here, and it would be easy to put it on upside down. So we do want to make sure that we have the book going in the right direction. Easy enough to check. Yes, we do. That's our front, that's our back. Okay? And then we're going to have this over here. Again, that needs to go that way because my text is going this way. So we got that in the right place. Go ahead and cover this. And the next part we're going to do is going to be these inside pieces. You'll see. And then we can add pockets and things, you know. I'm not going to do that. You can do that yourself if you want to. I'm just going to give you the base and let you play with this one. So I'm going to put this down, 1/8 of an inch top and bottom, making sure that they're even. That's what I do like about the PVA glue. It gives me a little bit of wiggle time. I'm not bothering to put anything on the inside here because that is where we're going to be stitching our signature. Here's our front flap, so now we have to decide what we're putting in here. I kind of like this idea, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. It's almost time to fill this bottle back up. I use it for a lot of stuff. Making sure that my print is going in the right direction. There's that one. And this one. I will show you how to measure this for putting in a journal, though. You know, putting in your journal, because that's an important part. And this is a great beginner's style journal. But, you know, it doesn't do you any good if you don't know how to sew in your signature. So, we'll talk about that. That I'll cover. All right. So, we're going to put this on 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Just like that. Move it down just a smudge. Okay. Close that up. And we're going to go to the back. And I'm going to do the red one on this side and the writing one on this side. Okay? Now, once I have these all down in here, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about making your template to glue in your signatures. So I'm going to finish this up, let it dry, and then I'll be back and we're going to go over that template. Okay? I'll be right back. All right, so we need to make a template for where we're going to put our holes. All right? So first things first, cut a 1/2 inch strip because that's the width of our signature. Then we're going to fold this in half. Now you can fold this in half by hand or you can hit it with your scoreboard. It is entirely up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and put it on here, and I'm just going to hit it real quick with my scoreboard, 1/4 of an inch. Pull it up, 1/4 of an inch, okay? Why? Because you need to have this be able to bend in your signature, okay? So we're going to go ahead and fold that on that 1/4 of an inch score line. You don't have to. If you don't want to fold it right now, don't. It's entirely up to you. But I like to know where I'm going. So now open it up, and here's the next part. You're going to measure in 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch, anywhere from 1/2 an inch to an inch. Okay, I'm going to go 3/4 for this one. All right, and I'm going to put a line, and then I'm going to turn it, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to fold this in half. That's my midpoint. Okay, then I'm going to fold these where I drew those lines, and then I'm going to fold that line to the center, that fold to that fold. Same thing on the other side. That fold to that fold. And now what I have is a piece that has 5 lines. Right there. Right here. Right here. And our 2 on the end. I'm going to show you that. So I have 5 lines on there now. See that? Now, that is where I'm going to poke my holes to put my signature into the book. Right where that center line and those lines meet. Okay, then I'm going to mark this with a T. That tells me that's the top. And this is the same height as my journal, so I don't have to worry about getting the right spacing, okay? So now, if I want to pop my holes in my journal, what I do is bring that over, get back out my pokey pad, put this on my pokey pad. You can use an old book or whatever it is you've got. You just put it on there. Put your template on with your T at the top. Hold it in place. Make sure it's straight. Poke a hole. 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 Now, you have 5 holes. They're evenly spaced, and you can use this when you put your signature in, okay? That's it. That's my quick little project for today. Just a cute little book, and you can add all kinds of pockets and tuck spots and stuff here. You could even add an extra flip in if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. But you can also add in a nice signature. And I think that this signature, if it's just basically for writing, would probably be okay for about 7 to 10 pieces of paper. 7 to 10 signature pages. So, like, that's one. Okay? So, we'll put a signature in this in another video, but that's it for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually clip this in here so that I have that template. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. So if you're new here and you have not done so already, subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out my community tab or my Facebook group. They're going to tell you everything that I have going on, including free classes and stuff like that. All the videos that I do, when I'm traveling, where I'm traveling, all of that stuff. And go over to my Ko-Fi, pick up some free digitals, or swing by my Patreon and show a little support for the channel. You could just do the free 1 week, and at least that tells me, you know, hey, I support what you're doing. Until I see you again, stay inside, stay hydrated, and stay well, my friends. I love you guys. Bye-bye.